Now, what you're doing when you expand it this far is he's on the boundary and he's outside the numbers. That's just a width of space that you'll never see in the NFL. But we know what we're doing. We're trying to create a pick here and a pick here on this wheel route or switch release.
I'm pleased to be joined by Quincy Avery, who is the founder of QB Takeover, and take some time to talk with us about quarterbacks, college football. You can see the jerseys behind him, some of the quarterbacks that he has worked with and guys that he has tutored. And it is my privilege to be able to talk with Quincy about, well, week to week, what we've seen in college football. And off the rip, the guy that is taking college football by storm is Arch Manning for what he was able to do coming off the bench in relief for Quinn Ewers. He's going to start against Louisiana Monroe. Brian Vincent is very excited about that. But more than anything else, it's been a guy that was ranked number one overall in 2023, Quincy, and is living up to the hype, or so it seems. Goes 9 of 12 for 223 with 5 total TDs, including 1 for 67 yards he took on the ground. Those are the stats. I'm curious, what do you see from a mechanic standpoint and what makes him so good?
I think the thing about Arch is he has a high level of composure, right? And like you said, his fundamentals are so sound, and that should be obvious, a Manning. So he's had the opportunity to get the best coaching, best training. He works with a great trainer, David Morris, who has done a phenomenal job with his fundamentals. So he's able to do all those things. And then it's obvious he thinks about the game at a very high level. Like he's got a touchdown pass for 70 plus yards. It's because he knew what was going on. You see, like he's alert that his quarters coverage. He sees the defense, he reacts, and is able to throw an on-time ball. And it's those things that are difficult to do as a freshman, right? So it's so promising. Like his future is very, very promising. And I'm somebody who was not high on him coming out of high school, right? Not as high as everybody else. Didn't think he had played against elite level talent. And he didn't play against great talent this past weekend. But when he had an opportunity to throw the ball, he made great decisions. He threw very catchable footballs and he threw the ball on time, right? And those are the things that allow you to play at a high level. To add into that, his mobility, which is obvious, right? The long run. Yeah, he wasn't playing against another SEC school with SEC talent, but to be able to run away from folks like that at the college level, I don't care who you're playing. It lets you know like he's got real athleticism. So that athleticism paired with his knowledge of the game, his obvious tape study, his ability to be prepared as a backup to go into the game and play at a high level, all those things give me a ton of excitement about Arch Manning's future.
You're right. UTSA is not the UTSA that we'd seen in years past, and ULM is not going to present the number one team in the country much of a challenge, we think, right? Steve Sarkisian has been great about reading him the riot act, reading that team the riot act about, hey, look, anybody can get taken down. Take a look at what Northern Illinois did to Notre Dame. He also has the distinction going in this weekend of being the first starting quarterback since Colt McCoy to lead a number one ranked Texas onto a football field, which is fun because he liked that dude growing up and he's always wanted to play quarterback at Texas. That leads me to more of a teaching question. Usually, guys like Arch, no matter the competition they face in high school, are used to playing every game. You practice well, you play. How difficult do you think it is now for guys to sit and wait when you've had close to 20 years or 15 years of just starting and playing, and a guy like Arch Manning is taking his time. He's not in a hurry to be the starter. He's going to take what Steve Sarkisian allows for him to get. How hard is that for guys when they are just going, hey, I'm out here working my behind off, but I'm used to playing, and I would really like to go somewhere to play?
It's difficult to just focus, like stay locked in through all those weeks when you're not the starter. And then it's even harder now because of the transfer portal, right? Guys are so anxious to play, right? And they always think that there's benefit in that. And we've learned like some quarterbacks mature and understand things they need to understand by sitting out that year. I recommend all my guys, hey, if you're going somewhere big, you should probably be redshirting, right? Because I think that it's helpful. You get to understand like what are guys in college tasked with doing day in and day out. So not having the ability to play on Saturday afternoons, yeah, it's a bit frustrating, but I think in the long run, is very, very beneficial for most of these guys.
It looked to me like Sark did not have to change the offense at all for Arch. What does that say about his maturity and taking that redshirt year to be in the system and run it the way that it looked like Quinn Ewers could run it?
You know how serious he takes each and every week throughout the preparation because you're going against UTSA, you're the backup, right? There's an opportunity for you to lack off and just not be that focused, like in the preparation, knowing what's going on each and every play. But he obviously has that, right? He has the ability to lock in. Like almost nothing could have happened in the world where they were going to lose to UTSA, right? It just wasn't going to happen. So as a backup, you can really take your foot off the gas right there and maybe not be as locked in. But he didn't do that. And that says a lot about his ability to mature through that redshirt season and now his ability to get on the field and be a productive player. And I think that it bodes well to his future.
I played a lot of baseball growing up as a catcher. And one of the things that I was taught is good pitching will always beat good hitting. If you hit your spots, nobody can hit anything that you throw. I'm curious, does that translate to playing quarterback? And the reason I ask that is there anything you might be able to do, even if you're ULM, to try to catch Arch Manning looking at something he shouldn't, or to quite literally trick him into throwing the ball where he shouldn't?
Yeah, I think that um, the Texas that I saw this past weekend, for the most part, was pretty static, right? Which is going to give the defense the opportunity to show one coverage and move into a different coverage, right? And those are the things that can catch a young quarterback off guard, right? They go to the line of scrimmage anticipating one coverage. They start their drop with their eyes in one place, but the safety rotation should have forced their eyes to work in a different place. And if you get caught situations like that, what it lends to or leads to is guys being behind in their reads, right? Because they're starting their eyes somewhere that they shouldn't, and they just can't get caught up quick enough. Now they could do some things like that, and you might be able to throw a perfect ball, and you could get away with that a couple times. But if you consistently start your eyes in the wrong place, or you're confused, or you're tricked, it's going to be very, very hard to be consistently successful. So, yeah, Texas does have far more talent than ULM is going to have marched on the field, but their coaching staff does a good job in terms of disguising things, send pressure from unique positions. It will at least put Arch in a bad position throwing the football or make it more difficult. I shouldn't say a bad position, but it'll make his job a lot more difficult. Like they're going to be able to run the ball. They're just going to be bigger, stronger up front. But in terms of throwing, you can make that difficult on them.
We're already projecting this dude to go into 2025 as a starting quarterback at Texas, and then he is draft eligible. The Heisman odds moved off what he did as a backup against a crappy football team, according to me and others, quite frankly. I just didn't expect UTSA to be any good against that team. However, I'm asking, what more would you want to see from a guy like Arch Manning to show you that perhaps he is capable of being a quarterback that you take in the first round, which is a guy that you want to build around for the future?
In terms of that, he has to do a ton more,
Okay.
right? Just think about like the first time we saw DJ go in against Notre Dame, right? He played probably at a higher level than Arch
Lights
just
out.
played at a higher level than Arch just played against UTSA. Now there's people who are pegging him as a first overall pick. He should be first coming out of the draft this next year, right? When he gets an opportunity, and look where he's at now, right? You just have to do this consistently. You have to show a body of work. And the things that he did, yes, he threw accurate footballs. I thought he played well. I'm not taking anything away from him once again. But I just think that you need to be able to show that you can do this against equal or comparable talent levels in terms of the guys that you're throwing against. I didn't see any make any real like contested throws, tight window throws, which are things he's gonna have to make. But he threw them on time, like he knew where he should go, which are really promising. But you guys see the other stuff, like that has to pop and has to jump out at you for you to consider, in my opinion, somebody first round quarterback or be ready for that sort of conversation.
This weekend, big game for me personally, big game for the nation. It's going to be Oklahoma's first in the SEC against a really good SEC opponent, number 6 Tennessee, bringing Josh Heupel back home. Quarterback Nico Iamaleava is really playing well. Jackson Arnold at Oklahoma has really not been playing well. So let's start with positives. What has Nico been doing well that puts them in a position to score as often as they do and might give them an edge against a really good defense at Oklahoma?
Starters, their head coach puts people in very, very difficult situations with how fast they're running play in and play out. But Nico, he is an elite. He's like FedEx. He's gonna get the package to you right where it needs to be, right on time. Right? He's an elite distributor of the football. He plays. He's never sped up, right? And the offense that they're running, I gotta say, helps him out a ton with that because people cannot bring pressure. They cannot disguise coverages. All the things that I think that would make could make it difficult for Arch to be a successful quarterback. Teams are prohibited from doing that against his Tennessee Volunteers football team. One, because they play so fast. Two, because they spread you out so wide that you have to show what you're doing as a defense earlier, just due to the structure of their offense. But he knows what defenses are thrown at him. He's prepared every play. And he's probably, when you match up the strength of his arm with the accuracy of his arm, top tier, right? There's nobody in college football who I think can do the things that he can do as a quarterback. And to me, if I was to talk about like, hey, who's got the opportunity to be the first pick in that, what is that, 2025 draft class? As a quarterback, I'd be thinking Nico, just because of the arm strength, right? Him and Arch have done some of the same things like throwing accurate balls, but his arm is on another level. And I think he has the athleticism together with the arm strength, arm accuracy, ability to throw every throw that make him really special to me.
Well, they're going to be eligible in the same draft. That'd be 2026, which is why it's fascinating for me because it seems like he picked the offense up as quickly as they gave it to him. They've scored 35 in every game that they've played or more, right? And he has shown a tenacity for getting after people. He's also shown a tendency to get tricked. He threw a pick six against NC State, and that was their only touchdown that Tennessee allowed, meaning the defense has been playing really well too. But I would really like to unpack this offense that Josh Heupel is running at Tennessee, that he ran at Central Florida, because the knock on it has been it doesn't translate well to the NFL. And I would appreciate you just treat us like we're stupid, right? And walk us through what makes that offense one that works at this level, but perhaps doesn't work as well at the next.
How about I show you a couple clips real quick and we can kind of
Love,
talk about it like that.
love it. Love it.
All right, so this isn't something that we'll see like Tennessee do a ton, but this is an example like a limited, like you're really limiting him in terms of what he can read, and how he can like fix it. There's no ability to fix anything in this offense right here. So we go max protection, which means that they have eight guys in the block and they have one, two receivers who are available to run around. Now, what North Carolina State's going to do here is they're going to have a post safety in the middle of the field. So he's taking away this post. So that is gone. Cannot throw that. That is out when you drip the play. So we said we had two guys running route. He's gone. The only thing Nico has the ability to do right here is throw it to this dig. Now that the plan was when they drew this play up, we're gonna go play action and we're gonna suck up these four guys. That doesn't work, right? This gets really, really cloudy. He's unable to make that throw, and we end up throwing a pick right to the middle of the field safety. Like those sorts of things do not bode well for Nico, right? That's not real NFL offense where you're working through reads, getting through progressions, and you're trying to find somebody to throw the football to.
I'm curious when you see something like that as a quarterback and you know that you got a two-man route out there and you know there's two things you can do with the ball. You can throw it to the other team or you can eat it. What would you expect him to do if that was another situation he found himself in?
So there's two things I would like to do. One, definitely eat it. But like let's say we're at the NFL level. That's where you want to see those check downs, right? People always talk about, hey, in the NFL, what we're seeing now is check down merchants. That's a discipline. Like people talk about that as if it's a knock, like getting to your check down. That is a discipline to say this isn't there. Let me hit my back in the flat. Like that takes practice, that takes command and knowledge of what you're doing as an offense. And it takes just a good mindset. You want to go to the line of scrimmage every time you approach it and say, "Hey, I want to be as aggressive as possible while mitigating risk." Right? In this offense, right here, in this particular instance, this is not me saying anything bad about Tennessee's offense as a whole, but in this particular instance, he didn't have that opportunity and he didn't have the discipline to not throw a very contested pass. But there's so many other things they do well that I want to show you that is great for college football. But I don't know if it's like, hey, this is going to make Nico a better player in the long run.
Show them to me. Like I would love to see what this offense is doing when it is working well.
All right, now this is what makes Tennessee's offense like really special to me, right? So what they do that you won't see at the NFL level is like, look at this lineup, right? You see him almost at the tick mark. Like that is so wide. The amount of space that you have to cover when you're playing against this Tennessee offense is ridiculous. So they've got you expanded the width of the field, right? You're gonna have to defend all 53 and a third. Let me just run this one more time so I can see the full content. Okay. Now what you're doing when you expand it this far is he's on the boundary and he's outside the numbers. That's just a width of space that you'll never see in the NFL. But we know what we're doing. We're trying to create a pick here and a pick here on this wheel route or switch release. Like these things don't happen in the NFL. Like this ability to just push the ball down the field. We know that we're getting single high coverage, you're getting man to man, but at the NFL level, we can't dictate coverage like that. We can't create those wide open plays. You're going to have the discipline to work your reads 1, 2 to 3 to check down because we can't get splash plays like that.
I find that fascinating for a number of reasons because first one is I saw this first with Art Briles and Baylor when they would have these really, really wide splits. And then you had players talking about what it was like to play in that offense, particularly from a wide receiver position. Corey Coleman won the Bolitnikoff Award playing in that offense. Jalen Hyatt won the Bolitnikoff Award playing in that offense. And essentially you run it felt like just two routes. You know, you're running a post and you're running a go. And if those are the only routes you're going to run in the NFL, people are fast enough to do it to cover anything you want to throw at them. And I find that particularly fascinating when I watch the best quarterbacks in the NFL play: Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, others that have to create because it's not there. And then you get to see what elite athleticism looks like against really elite athleticism on defense. So that's an example of what Tennessee is doing, what they do well, and frankly, what maybe Oklahoma might be able to do if you get those max protect concepts that you showed us with the two route combinations. I am very curious to find out what you think of Jackson Arnold at Oklahoma because he's National Gatorade Player of the Year coming out of high school, but he looking more like that lemon lime Gatorade and not that fruit punch Gatorade because don't nobody want to drink no lemon lime Gatorade. You know what I'm saying? Like you get that, you're like, why do you hate me? And who's drinking this? You know, when they put it in a variety pack, it's like, no, nobody asked for this. Give me the fruit punch. So what is it going to take for that man to go from playing like lemon lime to fruit punch?
Yeah, it has been a rough go for Jackson. And I'm not sure what he's not putting together. It's not like they've played the toughest schedule, right? They've had Temple, they've had Houston, and they had Tulane, right? Three teams that I think talent-wise, when Oklahoma woke up in the morning, they were a better football team then. I think that Jackson has to understand the value of short completions, right? Because in this day and age, there's really no reason why a quarterback should not be like 70% completion, especially with like the amount of screens and short passes that they have the ability to just get free completions on. So we're not taking advantage of those. And that's when you call a real passing concept and you get to something underneath. And the reason that those are so important or valuable is because the defense has to work and create depth to cover the pattern or the concept that is down the field. So you get room for those linebackers. They're dropping 12, 15 yards so they can create depth and make those throws harder. That's fine. Let's get to the check down. And now he gets 10, 12 yards. Jackson Arnold's he's averaging maybe like 5.6 yards per completion or something like that. And that lets me know like those things are happening on bubbles and quick screens. It's not we worked a real concept and we're able to get to a check down. There's a large difference between throwing the ball underneath and throwing screens, right? Because when you throw the ball underneath after you have a real concept, you'll be able to get those yards. So I just want Jackson to really have a command of the offense, and it just does not seem that he has that yet. And he hasn't had a ton of snaps, right? He hasn't been playing that long. He only had about 70 attempts last season, and we're about at that now. So He's going to get the opportunity to get better. You need to be able to go out in real game situations to see things, and I think that he has the opportunity to continue to improve.
If you can, I'd like you to take us through some of the things that you see from him. But while you are doing that, it is curious to me that both Nico and Jackson basically got the starting job at the same time. Okay? One guy got it against Iowa, one guy got it against Arizona. It looked easy for Nico against what I know is one of the two best defenses of 2023 last year. And frankly, what Phil Parker's done with that defense is ridiculous. However, I watched I watched Jackson against Arizona, and I was very loud about, I don't know if I see it, guys. And they're like, what are you talking about, RJ? He throws for 3 bills. Yeah, he had the 2 picks, but I'm going, look at what he was looking at. I'm watching it on the TV copy, and I'm saying, what do you see there? And then I saw that again against Tulane with the pick 6. It feels like if you send 5 and you ask them to block across the board, you're going to spook him. He's going to get into a place where he just wants to get rid of the football, or he's going to eat it. So, I think the stat is 6 of 16 against pressure with 6 sacks and a pick 6. That, to me, says I'm sending 5 whenever I can send 5. And we're going to take what we can get on the back end, because I think I can force you into making grave mistakes. Not little ones, grave ones, where you are just always behind the chains and you never have an opportunity to hit those short routes like you're talking about and to stay on time.
Well, let me show you an example of I think that there's real indecision with Jackson Arnold. All right, so let's get into this concept. This is very, very simple football here from Oklahoma. We got all stops. All right, so everybody's going to be doing the same thing. This read is very, very simple. And we know that we have 3 over here. So 1, 2, 3. And then we have 2 underneath and 1 over the top. So we have numbers to this side of the field. So Jackson knows that he needs to be looking to the left side of the field, and we are going to be eyeing the first inside. So if he takes this away, then we just keep working outside and then outside. So as we get into the play, this is open by everybody's standards in America. Now, it could be a miscommunication. I'm not sure this tight end's running a great route. He doesn't sit, he keeps moving. But balls like this have to be completed. There's no excuse for this ball not to be completed. I can't put this on Jackson, and I can't put this on the tight end, because I don't know who's at fault here. But I do know this, that if you can't complete this ball with a high frequency, like this ball skipping in the dirt, that is a problem. And we can't have that. And I can't say, hey, totally on Jackson, don't want to do that, or totally on the tight, but it's on somebody. So either they're not being coached correctly so that they can be on the same page, or he's making a true blunder in terms of how he's throwing the football. And those are the little things. And when I say a quarterback needs to be playing at a high level above the neck, right? He needs to have a plan when he comes here. He needs to be able to execute everything that we saw walking up to the line of scrimmage. Let us know, all right, we're working inside out, all stops. Boom, tight end 1, reset to the slot. And then if we need to, we'll get all the way outside to the check down. Easy, right? That's simple football. And he's got to be able to do that.
That was a great play to show, I think, for a number of reasons, not the least of which you're teaching us. The second is I'm looking, tight ends open, the slot's open. Pick one. I was going, just pick one and complete the ball, because what you were really talking about is who is it on and who is it not on is one thing. But again, skipping it in the dirt feels like an accuracy issue to me, as I'm going, all right, if you put it where it's supposed to be for him to catch it, can he make that play? Maybe. Hopefully. I hope he can. But it looked like that safety was closing, or that linebacker, forget which, was closing quicker than I would like it to see him closing if I'm Jackson Arnold throwing that pass. But that's, again, to your point about growing up and seeing it and being able to understand not just what is right there from the pre-snap, but he perplexes me because he is so athletic, and that arm is live, but the offensive line has not been. It's not our starting 5. It's not Oklahoma's starting 5, right? We're down on at center. The left side feels like there's a big hole on it. So it's always kind of difficult to do what you said, which is identify who is at fault here. You just know that the offense is not clicking. And when I know that the offense is not clicking going into a game like Tennessee, I'm always going to be a little bit squirrely about what I can expect from it. And this just feels like one where you're going to have to make that play over and over again to beat a team like Tennessee, to say nothing of playing in the SEC. My goodness. Quincy, this is great, dude. The film, You putting us on game right quick? You walking us through this? Thank you so much for this. Are you having fun? This is fun for me.
I'm having a blast. I'm having fun tonight.
All right. Well, we're gonna do this throughout the season. Follow Quincy on the Twitters, on the Instagrams. You be jetting out, dog. Where you be going?
Man, I got a bunch of NFL clients who I have to usually see one of them a week, and then sometimes something might come up and somebody's like, "Hey, come see me on a Tuesday." So every week it's something new, but I always get to I mean, I'm blessed to get to work with the best guys in the world. I think I got the coolest job in the world. Don't take it for granted.
For us with children that are raising quarterbacks, where can we go to find you and camps, clinics you might be putting on?
Man, would love for you guys to check me out. QBTakeover.com. You can see all the things that we have, from private trainings to camps to anything that your growing son could need in terms of being the best quarterback he would like to be.
Heck yeah. Well, Quincy Avery, QB Takeover. If you're talking quarterbacks, you're talking Quincy. Thanks so much for giving us some time this week, Quincy.
Perfect. Appreciate you.